Well, who do we have here? You've decided to come back. Love it. Thanks for joining me on another episode of Create or Die, the show where you never know what you're going to get. Is this one of those shows with a guest? Is this one of those shows where Ike wanders aimlessly through a sea of ramblings that no one can unravel? Not even himself. Well, it's the latter. And before we start rambling, let's just do a little housekeeping, shall we? This podcast, this is episode 17. We've been doing it for a little while. We appreciate the following. We appreciate the love. And as much as we appreciate that, we can use your help. We really can. There are people out there, creatives, who don't know about this show. I know, it's hard to believe. It's a tragedy. It's a travesty. One of those two. But you can help remedy this little pickle that we're in by telling your friends, telling your family, telling anyone who you think might benefit from a little dash of creative. Maybe it's the non-creative on the other side of the marketing house. Let me tell you a little secret. Everybody's got a little creator inside. Just got to learn how to let it out. That's what we do here. You know, some people, they meditate, they go to yoga, they find their inner self. Well, come to Create or Die. We can do that, you know. And there's no tricky poses that you have to execute, you know. We're here just talking. You're there just listening, internalizing. And hopefully, if nothing else, you can use this little podcast as a tool to help be lulled to sleep. Because in this busy hustle and bustle of a life, we can all use more sleep. So, speaking of the hustle and bustle, I've been doing this podcast for a while. Some of you may know that I'm starting other little endeavors, some tutorial training and what have you on YouTube. I've dabbled in the world of social media and trying to, learn how to talk to that algorithm so that it will serve me up to the people that need my content, all the while denying the reality that my content could be better. And wrestling with the reality that this mess is hard. It ain't easy. For reals. I remember not too long ago priding myself as being one who wasn't a slave to social media. At the time, it felt like the only people who cared about social media were, teenage girls in high school trying to collect those likes because of the new outfit that they're sporting on the gram, or maybe soccer moms who wanted to share the joy that they have in their kids' game-winning score, or people flexing about vacations, that kind of stuff. And I thought, hey, I'm above that. I don't need that. I'll peek in on Facebook just to kind of stalk my friends and see if they're posting, but I wouldn't post anything. And now look at me. I'm jumping from social media app to social media app. How did this little animation do, or this tutorial, under a minute tutorial, perform on TikTok or Facebook or YouTube Shorts? Man, I just can't crack it. And it's like a death spiral. Am I alone? Or are all y'all experiencing similar things? You listen to Gary Vee or Mr. Beast, and they talk about creating that content, create that one, core piece of content, and then you can just slice and dice that thing up and serve it up and distribute it in all of these other channels. And next thing you know, you'll have 1 million followers on every channel. Well, for some of us, it ain't that easy. Am I right? So, what do we do? Do we continue to hustle? Do we continue to take a piece of our heart and throw it up against the social media wall and hope that it sticks? What kind of life is that? Even this podcast. We've been doing it for 17 episodes for over 4 months. And do we have 1 million listeners every episode? No, we do not. And does that mean it's a failure? And if so, by extension, am I a failure? You tell me. Well, I'll tell you what I think. I think this is hard, and I have good days and I have bad days. Yesterday was one of those days where I was really asking myself, what's it all for? I uploaded a tutorial video, spent too much time on it. I ended up having a day off of work that I had scheduled a couple weeks in advance to go snowboarding, and ended up getting sick. And then while not being able to just lay in bed, had to do something. So I was working the social medias and trying to craft a video that had some value, and then threw it up there, and it got 20 views here, 40 views there, like 1 like from my diehard fans. And so you ask yourself, why? 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 And it's easy to get into this world of analysis paralysis, because I've got 50 things I could be working on, whether it be different posts, different subjects to make a tutorial about, maybe a art stock creation that could generate some passive income, or updating my website, whether it be iColred.com portfolio site, my creatordie.net merch site, not to mention the many social portfolios that could use some help, like Behance and Instagram and ArtStation. And yet I decided to spend the majority of my time on this one tutorial post, which was a 1-minute version of this 4-part series on Blender modeling, and seemingly no one cared. And so yeah, it was hard. I'm being real. And what do? What do I do? Well, gotta hand it to my 14-year-old son, who, when I was lamenting a little about this, he turned it on and turned it back on me and said, how many people do you know who are doing things like this, who are posting, who are trying? And how many people do you know who have started a podcast and a new business? And that little guy, yeah, he's right. We're doing something here. Something that not everybody is doing. Speaking of podcast creations and Gary V, I came across on the socials the other day one of his famous posts where he superimposes himself over a news article. This one was from The Verge, and it said, "New podcast creation has fallen off a cliff. The number of new shows that debuted in 2022 was down 80% from 2020. And guess whose podcast unveiled in 2022? This one, Create or Die. So we're doing it. And Gary says the reason this is the case is because it's hard. He knows it. Even he knows it. Even he admits it. The guy who seems to have just, 2 or 3 Energizer bunnies down his pants, keeping him going. That guy. But today has been a good day. Today's been a better day. We got to realize we're going to have good days and we're going to have bad days. And a wise man once told me, you'll rarely ever have more than 2 bad days in a row, and never more than 3 bad days in a row. That man is my father, and that's proven to be right. Now, it doesn't mean all of your problems will go away, but relatively speaking, I've found that to be true. You have a bad day, usually the next day is better. Sometimes you let your demons in and they wreck your mind, and you allow yourself to be down, or the world seemingly is against you for 2 or 3 days. But then on that 4th day, less than a week, some light usually shines, and you can find hope. And that's gotten me through some hard times. Now, while what I'm talking about is nowhere near hard times, or compared to so many who are struggling with being laid off, or real financial ruin, or that leads to hunger or homelessness or whatever, I'm exceedingly blessed, and I'm thankful to be here, and I'm not by any means trying to compare myself to anyone in that kind of situation. But relatively speaking, it's hard to put some energy into something, extend yourself, like I talked about earlier, taking a piece of your heart and throwing it up against that social media wall to see if it sticks. That's just a scary visual, and something that just came to me on this call. But that's really what it feels like. You've only got so many pieces of your heart until you're heartless, right? So maybe we don't throw pieces of our heart. Maybe we can learn to take a step back and look at it for what it is. This is not a personal reflection on myself or my self-worth if nobody listens to my podcast, or if nobody's watching my videos, or if those thumbs aren't adding up to the number of likes that I would like them to add up to. It's just how it is. And there's so much noise in this world, and it's not just big ad agencies anymore trying to get your attention. It's the other 8 billion people on this earth. The democratization of everything has allowed people the ability to create from their smartphone. Are you kidding me? Computer, a camera, production studio in your pocket, connected to the World Wide Webs, and everybody is just trying to get them likes, trying to build that following that will unlock freedom. But are they really free? I think some of us feel as though once I make it to this point, once I have this many followers, once I can monetize YouTube, or once I have that first brand reach out to me for a collaboration or a sponsorship, send me your new 3D printer to unbox and give a review on my channel, whatever it is, we think that's going to be enough. And it's not. And we have to be real with ourselves. And we have to be real with the reality that those at the top, they're not just coasting and they haven't just made it. They're continuing to hustle. And the lucky ones have found a way to make it fun, and they've chosen an area that they're passionate about, and they're able to continue to get up every day and throw something out there. And so here I am, kind of painting a rough picture for what this all looks like and how hard the hustle can be, and the time that one is taking away from their family, their recreation, their obligations. Look at this, I forgot to silence my notifications and they're blowing up on me. I apologize. Well, let's talk about the other side of things. How we can disconnect ourselves from this so that it's not a piece of our heart that we're throwing at the wall and making it so personal that every time something doesn't perform the way we'd like it to, we take it personally. How can we do that? Well, in my experience, and I am no expert by any means, this is just one dude's experience, one dude's advice, but it's easy to tell ourselves, just don't take it personal. But you've got to do more than that. My wife has been encouraging and inspiring lately as she's started to, try to build her following on her different social media platforms in an effort to help build this family business of content creation and design consulting conglomerate, whatever you want to call it. She looks at it like it's just an experiment. I'm going to post this video, see how it does. Let's try making a little change, post it again, see how it does. And I think that's one way to do it for sure. And maybe we can take it a little further and talk about it in terms of not only is it an experiment, but those failures, if you want to call them that, well, that's a great opportunity to learn, right? Fail fast and be excited about what you can learn. So with every new video that one posts, or every new episode of a podcast, or every piece of artwork or a photo of some craft that one has created, let's not think, if this doesn't get 100 likes in the first 2 hours, that I am a failure. Instead, let's look at it like, okay, what can I do different? What are all the different variables? I posted it at this time of the day. Is there a better time? I put it to this music. Is there some different music I could put it to? I started out with a splash screen. Should I have started out with a kind of the climactic moment of the piece and then back into the how-to, and then end again on, a finished product? It's like when people are scrolling through them social feeds, if it doesn't catch you immediately, catch your attention, then it's gone. Ain't no one going to listen or watch or consume that piece of content. And then there's the algorithm that is constantly changing. And what is an algorithm other than a series of if-then statements for the bots to decide if your piece of content gets X amount of likes in this amount of time, or this percentage of it is viewed this amount of times, serve it to this many more people in the YouTube short stream. And if it doesn't, then continue to kill it until it's not getting any views at all. So there are hundreds, if not millions, of different variables that are at play here. And then we have to be honest with ourselves, like, I'm trying to, take the approach of creating this core piece of content and then slicing it up or condensing it and serving it on this other platform. But that can't be just an automatic thing, and expect, if you are just kind of slapping something together, that people are going to want to consume that. Is there entertainment value? And how many people are really interested in a tutorial on making a Polaroid camera in Blender? You've got to realize that's going to be a smaller audience than someone who finds a cat video funny. Whether you're a developer, a designer, a soccer mom, a 80-year-old grandmother who knits, you're all going to find that cat video funny. But does that mean that every channel should be a cat video channel? Some would argue that it should, yeah. But of course not. We have to be passionate about what it is we do and what it is we want to share, and find ways to reach our people. That reminds me of my daughter, who is an artist and started up at the college a couple weeks ago after taking some time off since graduating high school. And we all remember what high school was like. You're forced to take certain classes so you can graduate. People are anxious to get out of there. It's pretty rare that you can find your people in high school unless you're a cheerleader or something. But in college, people are paying to, and this is, and I'm not one who thinks college is necessary for a lot of careers, but this is one huge advantage to college, is people are paying to take these classes that they're taking serious, like the animation classes that my daughter is taking. And those people from all over the state, the region, the world are coming together to geek out, to relish, to absorb every word that comes off the lips of those professors who are passionately teaching to people who are really invested in learning. And so that networking that can happen, that ability to find your people, is super valuable. And those people can be your friends for a lifetime. They may be your co-workers. They may introduce you to that job that will last you a lifetime or whatever. But that's why we do this. We're trying to find our people, and if they're our people, they're going to appreciate the stuff that we create. But if we're too worried about creating things that the algorithm will like, or producing things at an unnaturally fast rate just to produce something and throw it up there, our people are going to see right through that, and they're not going to want that. We all want to be delighted and motivated and inspired by the things that we consume. And so if that piece of content wouldn't just absolutely engage the crap out of you, then maybe it's not going to engage the crap out of anyone else. And I'm doing some self-discovery right here and now with you as I talk to the mic. I'm realizing where I can do better. I think I've talked on this episode, not this specific episode, but on this podcast, about the realization I came to with Instagram. Like I was posting things that were a quick sketch, and if you're another artist, you may see some potential there, but if you're not, you're just gonna think, oh, it's a unfinished doodle, why should I care? Next. And so I'm resolved to put more time into the pieces that I post up on the gram, and or think of a better way to present it. A friend and coworker of mine mentioned the other day that maybe instead of just posting that sketch, just take a picture of the sketch on the iPad showing your environment and framing it in a cool way, or whatever that may take it to a more interesting level. And by golly, I think he's right. So I'm definitely going to try that. So we're always learning from everybody, from anyone. And that's essentially what I'm trying to convey to y'all, and what I'm trying to instill in myself is you don't have to rip off a piece of your heart and throw it up against the wall and hope that it sticks and you get those likes or those followings. Just look at it like it's an experiment, or look at it as a puzzle to solve. Like, what different levers, what other times of the day, how can I take that same piece of content and rework it in a way that it can be consumed more quickly, or that the hook is instant and people will give it a chance. Because again, we're competing with the other 8 billion people on this world. It's not just one ad agency competing with another ad agency on 3 or 4 TV channels anymore. And if you throw enough money at it, or your commercial is during the right time slot, that you're guaranteed to make the sales that you need. Instead, it's a new game, and you've got milliseconds to capture the attention of somebody, and you've got a million different variables that we've gone over again and again. And so I would argue, keep on hustling. Keep at it. I've told myself with this podcast, 52 episodes, 1 full year before I even think about giving up. And it's become a habit. It's become part of me, where I suspect, unless I get some kind of death threat, which all you haters out there, don't be doing that. That ain't cool. Just kidding. But that I'll just keep doing this, even if I'm just talking to myself. Or honestly, I used to say only my mom and my wife are listening to this podcast, but I can honestly say that neither of them are anymore. The novelty is worn off. So now it's just the true faithfuls that are tuning in. And hopefully you all are picking up what I'm putting down. And if not, I'm going to try again, and I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to keep on keeping on to give it a chance. Our previous CEO used to say that, and I'm sure he got it from somewhere else, but that as soon as you get tired of saying something, like you've repeated the same thing again and again, like go buy some merch at creatordie.net or tell all your friends about this podcast. As soon as we get tired of saying whatever it is our message is, other people are just barely starting to hear it. And so while it might come off a little cringe and you feel weird by getting behind the mic and saying stuff, you gotta keep saying it, because people may not have heard it, or they need that reminder. You see those videos on YouTube where it's like and subscribe, and you're like, oh, I don't want to be one of those people. If someone's gonna watch my video and they're gonna like it if they or subscribe if they really do want more, but that's not necessarily the case. We're busy and we're like, oh, that's cool. And unless we get that reminder, it's like, oh yeah, I would have forgotten to subscribe. And then I would just hope that I stumble upon that, channel again and maybe remember to subscribe. So, people have been there before and they've realized that, some of these cringy methods are necessary. And like throwing in that subscribe button 4 or 5 times throughout your video or whatever. So anyways, I've talked at you for a while. It's getting late. I need to wrap this thing up. And I'll be interested to hear from you. Have you been struggling with the hustle? Are you questioning yourself? Are you experiencing imposter syndrome? Like, who do you think you are? You can get behind the mic and talk. You don't even have a good voice. You don't even know how to deliver a line, Tell you what. Those demons, they get in your head and they tear you apart. How many people don't like the sound of their own voice? And so they let that keep them from doing something, when everybody feels that way initially. And so, we're more critical of ourselves, I think, a lot of the time. And then, I talk about, and this is kind of my closing thought here, is, we're in competition for people's attention. The other 8 billion people, or 7.9 billion who have access to smartphones and the ability to upload, and I know my numbers are totally off, but a lot of people but that doesn't mean we should look at it as though we're competing with those people. The only person we should be competing with is ourselves. Seriously, don't worry about being better than someone else or everyone else. I still struggle with this. I've been told, and it's been the reality in a lot of my circles, like in high school or different things, where, hey, you're an amazing artist. You can draw anything. You're the best in the school or whatever. And so, a little narcissistic young person thinks, that's right, I am the best. And maybe I'm not the best runner or the best at eating healthy food or the best at math or whatever, but maybe I can be the best at drawing with a pencil. And what does that even mean? Like, I can reproduce to photographic level of quality any picture that I say. I used to think that, but no. There's always going to be someone better than you, and you're always going to be miserable if you're competing with others and comparing yourselves with others, and you're going to breed an unhealthy toxicity within that's going to turn people away, and it's going to eat at yourself. So instead, there's only one person to compete with, and that's me. Have I improved at X or Y or Z, over any given period of time frame or whatever. So, yeah, there are a million people who are better suited to conduct a podcast, to host a podcast. Conduct, I like that. It's like I'm conducting an orchestra, or I'm driving a train. Or, they're better people at a lot of things than me. But guess what? I'm here, and I'm doing it. And what can I learn to improve a little bit more each week, each day, each hour? And look back and think, wow, I've grown from 0 followers to 41 followers on YouTube over X amount of time, which is, if you compare yourself with others, pretty sad. But that doesn't mean that, before you know it, you'll be getting 41 new followers a day or an hour, and you'll be knocking on the door of 41,000 followers or whatever. And it's all about just experimenting, just failing fast and learning from those failures and thinking, okay, this isn't a reflection on me as a person. I'll be honest with myself. Yeah, that piece of content could have been more engaging, or I just wanted to get it out there and I posted it at midnight. But who knows, the way that, sure, the entire world is on YouTube, so it's always the perfect time somewhere. But I would wager a guess that YouTube and these different platforms serve your stuff up maybe in your local time, and then if you're kicking it, killing it, whatever, in your kind of region, then it'll start to gain virality, viralness, tosity, or whatever in other areas and across the globe. So a million different variables, and I continue to repeat myself, and that's what we need to do, right? Or people won't hear it. So I hope you were able to pick up a thing or two. And maybe it was just picking yourself up off of that floor, or pulling yourself from, some unhealthy self-talk or whatever. I hope this touches somebody, and if nothing else, guess what? It was therapeutic for me, and I am pumped to go out there and do better and try some different stuff and have fun with it and realize, that we got to celebrate the wins and we got to learn from the losses or the failures. So there I go. I keep going. But all I can say is, until next time, my friends, keep on keeping on. Keep on creating. Create or die.